Hi everyone, Salesforce Consulting Admin Training Day 34. So let's go ahead and see what are we going to learn today. Today's agenda is we will go through the quickly overview of previous session, and then we'll talk about the integrating the flow with the Apex, and we'll talk about the record trigger orchestration and validation rule, navigation steps to create a validation rule, and we'll have a trial head, today's interview questions. So last class, we were talking about the flows, right? So last class, we had created a button. We had created a button on the hiring manager. So when I go to the hiring manager, in the hiring manager list view, we have created a new record. So when I click on a new record, so what will happen? It will open up the flow that we have implemented. And as soon as I enter the details here, HR, hiring manager name, location, email ID, hr@gmail.com, and designation is HR executive, phone number, and then click on next. As soon as I click on a next, what is happening? It is again opening the new form. In case if you do not want this, so we need to modify that. So let's go to the object manager, click on the hiring manager. So hiring manager, let's open. In the hiring manager, we have created a button links, which is called as a new record. So in the new record, so what we have seen is /flow and then /flow name. So just we have given the flow and the flow name. But in case if you wanted to redirect back to the hiring manager list view, okay? Because the button is in the hiring manager list view. But in case if you want in the record level, for everything, we have a link that is available. If you search content behavior flow, then you will be able to see that. Control finish behavior for the flow, you will be able to see that. Now let's see how can I bring back to the page. Wherever I am in this page, I need to come back to the list view. So observe this, whenever I change this all list view, immediately the ID is getting created. So here you see the filter name. That means if you type here ID, this ID is only for the listing the records in the list view all. So this is only for all. If I change it to the recently viewed would have different thing. It does not have a ID basically. It is a equal to recent, right? So the one which is created all. So all will be having this list view. So I'll take this list view. Now here we need to use it question mark. I'm redirecting the URL. In order to redirect URL, that means I am into the right now flow. Right now, I am into the flow. From the flow, I wanted to redirect it. From the flow, I wanted to redirect back to the hiring manager. So for that, question mark red URL, which is nothing but redirecting the URL equal to. Redirecting the URL equal to red URL equal to. You need to specify the object ID. When I say object ID, every object has a starting 3 letters. You open any hiring manager. It has a starting 3 digit, like an account. If you open an account starts with a 001. Starts with a 001. Similarly, if you open a case, if you open any case, it starts with 500. Similarly, we have a hiring manager. Any record that you open, The starting three letters are A05. Use that A05. Use that A05 and let's go to here. So question mark red URL A05 question mark and where you wanted to land it. Flow FCF. So which is nothing but red URL. Okay. So here I am using the flow name question mark red URL equal to A05. That is the ID of the 3 digits of the object ID. Then FCF equal to, then where do I wanted to land it? I wanted to land it on the all list view. All list view. So copy this and equal to FCF. That's it. So this additional steps we need to add it. These additional steps we need to add it. So when you add this additional step, now let's go ahead and click on save. As soon as I click on save, let's refresh this. Refresh, click on it, new record. Now it is redirected to the flow. It will open up the flow. Now let me enter the details here. HR details. Location, Bangalore. Email ID, hr123@gmail.com. And designation is HR executive. Phone number, type any phone number here and click on next. As soon as you click on next, it is landed on back to the hiring manager. Landed on back to the hiring manager, right? So similarly, we have, if you want to land on to the record level, you can land it on. If you want to land it on the different places, you can do that. So it is available in the documentation. If you go to if you search control finish behavior, and if you try to see that, you will be able to identify. So there are different behaviors where you wanted to land it. You can decide it. Now moving on to the today's class. Now, integrate flow with code. Integrate flow with code. So here in this scenario, what we are going to do is we are going to call the Apex. We'll see how to call the Apex code from the lightning flow. From the lightning flow, how can we call the Apex? Now we have seen how to create a different flows. We have seen how to create a different flows. Like there are 6 types are there. All of them we have seen. So if I open a flow, from the flow, if I wanted to call Apex class, that means business logic. Now, how can I call the business logic? Now, let's see the scenario. Scenario is call a Apex invocable method through the record triggered flow. That means use a record triggered flow, and through the record triggered flow, call the Apex invocable method. By calling that, pass a details, pass the parameter from the lightning flow to the Apex. So using the lightning flow, So here I have a lightning flow. This is lightning flow. Lightning flow, which is a record triggered flow. And then I have a other side Apex. Here, Apex. Apex. So whenever we are calling the lightning flow, whenever we are calling the Apex, from the lightning flow. I'm calling the apex from the lightning flow. So whenever I call the lightning flow from here, I wanted to pass a parameter. I wanted to pass a parameter. For example, account ID, I wanted to pass it. For example, account ID, whenever I'm calling the apex in the lightning flow, pass this account ID to the apex so that apex will do the business logic and finally it will return the output to the lightning flow. Finally, it will return the output to the lightning flow. Now let's go ahead and see this example, how to call it. So the first thing which I'm going to do is creating the apex class. I'll create a apex class. In the apex class, we'll implement a business logic. Let's close all of this. File, new apex class. I'm creating the flow, account flow. So in this account flow, we'll create a method. Assume that I'm creating a method which is returning the list of account names, which is going to return the list of account names. So for that, the return type is list of a string, and the method name is account names. And the parameter it is expected is a list of IDs. That means lightning flow is going to pass the IDs. So once it is passed the IDs to the method, so this method finally it will return the list. So how it is going to return the list? It has to query. So select ID, name from account where ID in, because I'm getting the list of the IDs. ID in, we have a IDs, which I'm getting. So here I'm getting multiple account IDs. For this multiple account IDs, what I'm doing is I am doing the query. Let me store the details. List of account ACC list equal to query. Now I need to loop through this. For loop account ACC list. Now I'll be retrieving the account names. In order to retrieve the account names, I need another list here. List of account ACC account names equal to new list of account. Now account names dot, I'm going to add each one of them. So AC dot name. So which will return the account name. So finally I'll return account names. This is the method. Or here it should be not the account string, because I'm only returning the account names. Now it is going to return the list of string. Now it is perfect. Now, whether it is a process builder or lightning flow, they have an annotation called invocable method. Whether you are using this method in the process builder, whether you are using this method in the lightning flow, always use the invocable method. The annotation, we need to use invocable method. If you do not specify the annotation invocable method, you will not be able to call from the flow. So you need to specify, that means you need to enable this. You need to enable this method by specifying the @invocable method, so that if I am implementing a lightning flow, I can able to call the lightning flow. Now let's go ahead and create a lightning flow. Click on new flow, and I'm going to create I'm going to create a record triggered flow. Which one is the better? Should I need to go for a record triggered flow, or should I need to go for a screen flow?
Screen flow, right?
If you go for a screen flow, you need to type the ID, right? Because you need to pass the ID to here. If it is a record triggered flow, then automatically captured whenever you are creating or updating it.
Yeah, but a requirement is on creation and updation.
Right. Or else what you can do is you can pass the list of IDs. You can pass the list of IDs. Let's go with the screen flow. Now here, let me take. Now let me go with the action. In the action, right now, I'm going to call the method. Right now, I'm going to call the Apex method. So we have here Apex action. In the Apex action, it is already displaying the account flow. That is the one which I have created. For this account flow, I need a label. Just give the label, call Apex, and then this is the Apex name. Then the description, you can say that calling the Apex method from lightning flow. Now, input, I need to pass it. Now, how can I pass the input here? How can I pass the input?
Resource and collection element.
Resource, variable, record ID. What should be the data type? What should be the data type?
Text.
Text. There is nothing, no default value available for input.
Then this will be allow multiple values, I guess, right?
Let's go with the one right now.
Okay.
Click on done. Now we have a record ID, which is going to display the information. Now also we have a advanced. It is saying that manually assign a variable. That means assign the variable here. Once the output is done, assign it. Once the flow is done with it, assign the output values to this. Now, here I'm calling the Apex method. Apex method is returning the output. Once the Apex method is returning the output, Apex method, the lightning flow has to store the output somewhere. So that means advanced is the one which is going to help us to store the output values. So click on a new resource. Let's say that this is also variable. And here I am going to take it as a ACC names. Now this time Let's give it as a text. Okay, you can give the allow multiple also fine. And this is only for output. This is only for output. I did not save it. Variable ACC names, data type, text. It is saying that it is already available. Let me do this. Click on done. Save. Flow with Apex. Click on save. Now let me modify those resources. Record ID, let's edit. Modify it, cancel. ACC names, edit. Let me delete this record ID. I'll create a new record ID. Record ID. Data type. Record, sorry, text. Allow multiple and available for input. Click on done. Now let's go to the call Apex. Now here I need a record ID. Why the details are not showing here? Record ID. Click on edit element. Record ID. Text. And then advanced. We have ACC names. Why ACC name is not displayed? This is available for output. Change this. Click on done. Edit the element. Advanced. Now here ACC names. Still I'm not able to see. Refresh. Record ID. Click on this. ACC names. I cannot see this. Okay, let me go with the record flow. Record flow, create. Now, which object? Account. created or updated. Nothing is there. Click on done. Now let me use the action and filter by type, Apex action. Let's use the account flow. And this is a call Apex. Right, so IDs, let's take it as a record ID. Record ID. And the output field, manually assign. Let's create a new resource. Variable. ACC names. Data type text. Allow multiple. Allow for output. Click on done. Something is wrong with that. Let me delete this. Click on again, new record. Variable. Names. Data type text. Available for output. Now click on done. Edit. A news. Click on done. So now we are calling the Apex. So once the Apex is called, let me do one thing. So what I'll do is, as soon as I create an account record, as soon as the account record is created, this flow is called. This flow is called. And once the flow is called, let me update a record. So I'll update the record with the description. Update the record with the description. Update record triggered flow. Update account record. And I'm going to use the account record that triggered the flow. And then we'll have here the condition, will add it, description. Description equals to, let's say, a name. So in the a name, we have the name. Click on done. Click on done. So let's save this and debug. Apex flow. Click on save. Before activating it, let's test it with this record ID. Debug. Account ID. Support group and click on run. It is failing here, updating it. What is it failing? Group ID? Created by annual revenue. Description, it is taking it as a name. Yes, support group. Cannot we update the description? We are not updating everything. We are just updating the only description. We are just updating the only description. Cannot I update the description here? Under custom description, let me take this. Click on save. Account facts. Okay, that is the reason. Let me delete this. Click on save. Now the flow will be working. Support group, click on run. So now it has executed and it rolled back. Right, so let me activate this flow. Let's go to the any other account. So let's take this Burlington Textile. Description. Okay, bottom we have. So let me edit this. Let me update the type, customer channel, on save. Is saved, okay. And also the description is also updated. Description is also updated. So before it was empty, there was no value. So similar way we will call it in the real time also. Right, this scenario can be done through the screen flow as well as the record triggered flow. If it is a record triggered flow, I have an option that I can directly edit the record directly instead of passing the record. So I can edit and I can test it whether it is working or not. Any questions before I move on this?
Swapna?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do we pass multiple IDs? How is it possible as an input?
Right, so multiple IDs, if you want to pass the multiple IDs, we have a collection, right? There is a collection list of the collection items. So using that, you need to loop through all the records and get the collection of items and then pass it to the Apex.
Yeah, I was just trying. It doesn't allow me to, give the collection variable there. It allows only single variable to that single value, not a collection value as a resource type.
So do this thing on the account level, get the contact list. From the contact list, get the list of IDs. And store that list of IDs into one variable in Lightning Flow.
Okay.
Then you can pass it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we need to use a get record before that.
Yes.
I'll try.
Okay, so homework, call the Apex class, pass the case ID into class through the flow and fetch the data from Apex to the flow. Similarly, whatever I have done it, you can implement either through screen flow or the record triggered flow. If it is a record triggered flow, we'll have a flexibility that we can test the UI. And moving on to the next one is record trigger orchestration. As I have explained before, the record trigger orchestration. Now let me create a new flow here. So when you click on a new flow, the sixth one option is a record trigger orchestration. Record trigger orchestration. But before doing that, I'll create a one screen. I'll create a one screen flow. It is kind of a approval flow. It is approval flow. So let's create a screen flow. So let's say that this is orchestration, approval flow. Approval flow. So I have the details here. Now I'm going to drag the radio buttons. These radio buttons are whether it is approved or not. And let's take this as a Boolean. And now I'm going to create a choice. Let's create a new choice. This is the S. Option is also S. Label is also S. And the choice value is also S is nothing but a true. Click on done. That is the S and create a one more choice, which is a new. Create a new choice resource. Select the choice here. Click on the API name, no. And the choice label, no. Data type, Boolean, and no means false. Click on done. Now I have a two radio buttons where it says yes and no. Now, this screen is related to the case. Assume that this screen is related to the case. So case subject, case description, case type, and on the case itself, I'm going to ask, is this approved or not? Based on the case subject, based on the case description, and based on the case type, are we going to approve this particular case to move further or not? So in that case, I need to place here all the fields which are related to the case. Now, there is another way to place it. Either you can place it the text box here and you can give a name and then you can link the text box output to the case. Or else, for example, you are opening in the existing case. You are opening in the existing case. You are opening here on the existing case. Now, when you open the existing case, we have to show the flow that we have created, orchestration flow. We have to show that work guide here. So based on this, what are the details that are available here? We should be showing that flow and then whether this case is approved or not. So that is taken by the project manager. So now I need a case fields here. So the case fields are either you can create a text field and you can map those fields to the case, or else there is another way of creating it is you have to create a new resource. From the component, shift to the fields. Highlight the fields and here create a new resource. Create a new resource. API is a case, data type is a record, object is a case. Object is case. Now click on done. So once it is done, if I, for example, if I wanted to use a subject, this is a case subject, I can directly drag and place it here. As soon as I create a record triggered flow, whatever the fields are available within the case, I can see all of them. For example, I need a description. See, this is the case level description, or else I need a type, which is a case type. Now I can drag and place the case type. Place the case type. Now this is the script. Right now I have the case type, subject, description, approve, then finish method. Right? So this is my screen. Let's click on done. Now the screen has been created. Now only single screen I have. This screen is going to, if I'm opening the existing record, subject, description, case type is going to pre-populate it from the case. If it is a new record, then it will show me the new details here. So usually we use it for the existing records because the record has to be created before I approve it. So for the existing record, subject description case type is going to pre-populate from the whichever the record I am in. From that record, if you have a subject description, right? If you have these details, it is going to populate the details. Now let me add here subject. Let's say case is not creating. From website. Do not see the latest cases that were created through the web. That were created through the web. Now click on save. So these are the one which are going to pre-populate it. So this is my screen flow and click on a save. So let's activate it. Okay, let's create. So let's say that orchestration flow. Screen flow. Orchestration screen flow. Click on a save. Now I'm going to activate this flow because in the record triggered, the flow orchestration, only the active flows will be visible. Now this is my flow. Now I'll go back to the flows and click on a new. This time I'm going to select the record trigger orchestration. Now, before coming to the record trigger orchestration, now whatever the user is selecting here output, that means whether user might be selecting the yes or user might be selecting the no. Now, whatever the response is there, this responses I wanted to store it because this response is going to play the role in the orchestration. So what I'll do is I'll create a new variable. Let's say that this is a approved status. Approve status, and the data type is Boolean because we are getting yes or no, and the values that I'm getting it from the approve the radio button. From the radio button, I'm getting it. So this is only used for the output. Click on done. That means whatever the user has selected on the screen, the output is going to store it into the approve status. Save as, because I made a changes, click on a save as and then activate it. Let me refresh this one. Now record triggered orchestration. Now we are creating the record, we are creating the flow on case, whether the case is created or modified, could be anything. So this is on the selecting, the first step in the orchestration is selecting the object, similar to the other flow. Similar to the other flow, whatever I'm doing it, whether it is a selected or not, like whether it is during the creation, updated, or a create or update. If you want a condition, you can add a condition. You can add a condition. Let's assume that I have a require approval. If it is a require approval equal to yes, then only I need a approval from the higher management. We have a one field called require approval in the case. If the require approval equal to yes, then only I need the flow should be executed. The particular flow should be executed. Now that's it, done. Now here, when you click on a place button, orchestration is bit different compared to the other flows. Orchestration is bit different compared to the other flows. The orchestration has a stages, multiple steps, multiple users. So here, the first thing it is going to give me the stage. First thing it is going to give me the stage. That means I have to enter the stage here. Let's say that this is the stage 1. This is a stage 1. Now you can add anything here in the description, which is related to this stage 1. And the condition is there are 2 conditions at this stage. When all the steps have been marked completed, the stage marked as a completed. That means all the stages, within the stage, I have a step. Within the stage, I have a step. So if all the steps are completed, then only I can say that stage is completed. Or else, when the specified evaluation flow returns true, then the stage is completed. Then the stage is completed. That means the orchestration is basically, I have at the beginning, it is going to ask me that on the which object are you running the flow? On the which object are you running the flow? Whether it is a that particular record, if you want any condition to be specified, you can specify the conditions. And the next one is once you specify the object, then you need to specify the stage. You need to specify the stage. So this is the stage. This is the stage. And within this stage, we'll have a multiple steps. You can create n number of steps. You can create n number of steps. Like this is a step 1. And this is a step 2. This is a step 2. Similarly, below this also you can create another stage. Below this also you can create another stage. That means we have a multiple stages. You can create whatever the stages that you want, you can create it. You can create the stages. So multiple stages, you can create it within the multiple stages. Within the multiple stages, you can create multiple steps. You can create multiple steps. So that's what I'm doing here. So what it is saying, the conditions here is whatever the steps are there within this. For example, right now I have 2 steps. If all the steps are completed successfully without any error, then I can say stage is completed. Or else, if any one of them is completed as a successful, then I can say stage is completed. So for the second option is, this is the second option. That means when the specified evaluation flow returns true, the stage is marked as a true. Now I'm going to say here, all of them need to be completed. Then only the stage should be completed. Now the stage is created. In the stage, we do not specify anything. In the stage, I only specify when I can say the stage is completed. Only that particular part is decided in the stage. Within the stage, we'll have a different steps. Within the stage, we have a different steps. So steps are background steps and interactive steps. So as I have discussed in the earlier previous class, background steps are nothing but which is a auto-launched flows. There is nothing to do with the user interface. When I say interactive steps is nothing but which is required a user input. Interactive steps are nothing but need a user input. Background steps are nothing but where it does not require a user input, it can go on. Now you can select one interactive steps, another one is a background step. You can do that also. Or else if you want, both of them are background, you can create a both of them also background. So there is a no restriction that I need to use one background, one interactive. No, you can use either of one. If you want only single one, you can use the single one. For example, I do not want the background step here. I just wanted to create an interactive step. Interactive step, I'm going to create it. So here I'll say quality approval. In this quality approval, we have a conditions. 3 conditions are available here. When the stage starts, that means as soon as the stage is started, immediately my step is also need to start. That is the first thing. Second one is when another step is marked as a completed, then only start this. That means if you have a 3 steps, you can decide here when the stage is called here, whenever the stage is called, out of these 2, which one should be executed whenever the stage is executing it. So if you want step 1 to be executed, you can say step 1 is whenever the stage is started executing it, step 1 also stay. But step 2, you can decide it whether you want it to go parallelly or once step 1 is completed, then only the step 2 should be passed. So you can decide it. That means developer has the flexibility when to execute the step 1, step 2. So here in the condition, it is mentioned that when another step is marked complete, then start this. So whenever you select the second one, it is going to ask you that which step are you expecting to complete it. And the third one is when the specified evaluation flow returns true, then the step should be start. That means if you have a 3 steps here, any one of them are condition is true, the output is true, successfully executed, then immediately start this flow. Right? So right now I'm giving it as a when the stage starts, the step should be started. Now here I'm selecting the flow. Whenever this is interactive step. This is interactive step. Interactive steps is going to give us only the flows which are related to the screen flow. Only the flows which are related to the screen flow. So right now we have created the orchestration screen flow. Right now we have created orchestration screen flow. If you take another one, for example, if you are taking here background step, okay, if it is a background step, then it is going to give you the result only related to the auto launched. Background step is nothing but auto launch. So flow orchestration only able to call the flows which are screen flow, that is in the interactive step, auto launch flow which are in the background step. And the flows has to be active, then only you can able to see here. Then only you can able to see here. Now, right now I'm going with the orchestration flow. It is expecting the record ID. It is expecting the record ID. So we have a starting of this record trigger. We have a record and then we have a ID, record ID. So let's pass the record ID. So sometimes record ID may not be the 18-digit ID. It could be any other ID. Okay, so for example, you are in an opportunity and you are expecting the account ID, right? So in that case, you need to pass the record account ID. Now, assign type. Assign type. It has a different assign type: user, user role, group, group resource, queue, queue resource. If you want to assign a group, select the group. For example, we have a group called Hyderabad sales group. If you want to assign this group, you can assign it. Now that's it. We are done with the first step in the first stage, which is called as a interactive flow, which we have implemented. Interactive flow we have implemented. Now, here Now here in this, I'm getting a output from this screen flow. I'm getting a output of what output we are getting it, whether the user has selected the approve equal to yes or no. Whether the user has selected approve yes or no. That means the output of this approve is going to store it into the approve status. This is going to store it into the approve status. Now from the approve status, I'm going to capture the details there. That means I'm going to add the decision box here. If approve equal to yes, then what needs to be done? If approve equal to no, then what needs to be done? So I'm going to add a decision. So in the staging point of it here, in the staging point of view, either you can add a stage or you can add a direction. Only two components which you can add, right? No other components are available. So the decision, if I select a decision, let's say that this is approved wizard. Approved wizard. Now let's take a here, let's say that this is a wizard. And the resource, I'm going to take the resource, record level, we have a case type equals to, let's assume that this is a electrical. Okay, and along with this, I'm going to check the screen flow output. I'm going to check the screen flow output. How I'm going to check it? See here, I have a stages. We are not looking at the stages because the screen flow is in steps. So click on the steps, click on the quality approval. And then here you see status and output. When you click on an output, you have a approved status. You have a approved status equal to, if it is a true, then go to this, right? We are storing the details into the approved status. Whatever the user has selected here, we are storing into the approved status. Now I'm checking the condition, two conditions, type equal to electrical, approval status equal to true. Then only go to the wizard, or else, let's take it as a rejected. If it is a rejected, then simply I'll cross verify, go to the steps, quality approval, outputs, approval status equal to false. Approval status equal to false. That means they have selected the no. Now this is default outcome is nothing but all other. Let's assume that all other. Now 3 decisions are created now. I have taken the decision box. From the decision box, we have a approve, reject, all other. Now when it is a approve, what needs to be happen? So that means stage. So here either you can end it, you can take a decision, you can take a stage. Now I'm going to take a stage here. Let's say that this is a stage 2. For the stage 2 also, I'm going to call the same step, because right now we have created the screen flow. So I'm going to use the interactive step. So let's say that this is a wizard approval status, wizard approval step, Now here I have a condition, again 3 conditions. When do you want to execute this flow? I'll say that as soon as this stage is started, then I can execute that. And the flow, I'm going to use the same flow. Here also we have a record ID. I'm going to call the record ID. So record.id. So let's take it as a record.id. Now the user is Now this time I'm going to use my user TC batch. TC batch. Set exit condition if you want any multiple condition, like we have two conditions which are available. So one is when the assigned user has completed the screen flow, the step is marked as a complete. Other one is when the specified evaluation is true, then the step is marked as a complete. So let me take it as a first one, and that is a stage 2 in the wizard. Now similarly, I'll do it for the all other. For all other, I'll do the stage 3. And let me create a add step. I'm going to add the interactive step. So let's say that this is the other approvals. Other approvals. Click on this, and here the flow is orchestration screen flow. Record ID, you can use the record ID. Record ID. And the assigned type is, you can either use a user group or let's take it as a queue. So we have a Hyderabad queue. So let's take that queue and done. Click on done. Now let me change this. Edit element, rejected, I'll place it on top. Right, perfect. Now let's click on this save. Now here, orchestration, record flow. Orchestration, record flow, click on a save. Click on save. Now that is fine. Now in this case, I have just taken the screens everywhere, but it is not mandatory that whatever you take on the tab on the top, you have to take the same thing in the stage 2, stage 3. No, it is not necessary. You can take a multiple flows. In the real time, you might be using the different flows here. You can take a different screen flow, you can take a different auto launch flow, right? You can take any one of them. So for now, for the explanation, I have taken only one flow. Now let me activate this. Now I have activated it. Now let's go to the flow. Sorry, let's go to the case. In the case, you need to edit the page. Once you edit the page, here we have a flow orchestration work guide. Flow orchestration work guide. So select that flow orchestration work guide, drag it wherever you want. So for example, I want it here. Now, this work guide should display only when the case request approval is yes. When the request approval is yes, then only the work guide has to be displayed. Because in the orchestration rule, what is the first condition that we have given here in the record triggered? We have given that whenever the request approval equal to yes, then only the execute it. So whenever it is not a yes, then why should we display the work guide there? So that's the reason I'm saying here, I'm modifying the lightning flexi page, saying that whenever the require approval equal to yes, then only show me the work guide. Then only show me the work guide. Work guide is nothing but show the orchestration flow. Show the orchestration flow. Now let's click on a save. Activation. Close. Let's come back. Now here it says that work guide request approval is nothing is there. Refresh. Okay, so let me edit this. Let's say request approval is no. Click on a save. Right, nothing is happening. If I modify this to yes, click on save. Let's refresh. Why it is saying that it is not available? Refresh again. Save as, click on save. Click on activated. Now let's refresh. Why it is giving you do not have anything? Created request. Every time this is perfect. And let me go to the approval step. In the approval step, nothing is there. Now let me do one thing. So I'll open up the another flow, which is the orchestration flow. That is also the screen flow. Get this one. Orchestration approval flow. Let me activate this. Now let's go back here. Let me change the flow. Orchestration. Reload. Right, so instead of this, I'll use the approval flow. Okay. Okay, so let's give here record. Now let me add the decision again. Next approval. Step. Wizard. Condition. Record. Case type. Record case type equal to electrical. What is the case type here? Mechanical, okay. But so let's take here mechanical, or let me change there on. And then the output is step quality approval. Outputs approval status equal to true. And then I'll add another one here. Rejected. Rejected, then I'll take the step approval status output. Approval status equal to false. Now this is a default outcome. Let's keep it that. Now here I'm going to add another stage. This is a stage 2. And add the step, interactive step. Let's say this is the wizard approval. And the flow is, I'll take the Salesforce approval, orchestration approval flow. And we need to pass it here, the record. We need to pass the record and the record ID. Record ID. And let's take it as a user. Now that's it. And similarly for the default outcome, let's take the stage 3. Condition, that is perfect. And then I'm going to add the step, interactive step here. Let's say other approval. Other approval, condition, Salesforce, orchestration approval flow. Then I'm going to pass the record. I'm going to pass the record, and the record ID is record dot ID. And the user, either you can take a user, let's take the user itself, because email IDs are having problem there. Now click on done. So that's all. So finally everything is coming as the end. Now click on save as, save. Version 3 is getting created. Let me try this time. Click on activated. Now here I'm going to update the type case type to the electrical. Click on save. Still it is not displaying. Why it is not displaying it? The automated process user has no email address. Did I specify group? Okay, let me take out this to the user. DC batch and click on save as. Click on refresh. It still says it is nothing is there. Let me take another record. What might be the problem? Edit page. Did I not save this? Required approval equal to yes. Click on done and then click on save. Okay, nothing is coming. Okay, this is the record. Now, right now, it's not displaying anything here. Now let me update the required approval. Click on yes. And also I need to check the type. Has to be electrical. Let's click on save. It says nothing is there. You have no assigned work items for this record. Why?
So now the status is closed, right, for that record.
But we are not checking the closed status anywhere. We are not checking anywhere, right? The closed status.
Yes, but we are checking for approval type equal to true, right? Something approval status true.
Approval status. No, that is here. Here the screen should be displaying it.
Okay.
The screen should display here.
Okay, sir.
Still it is saying the same thing. Let me close all of this. Okay. Interactive. Okay. Right, so here is the one. I think there is a data issue. So type mechanical and require approval equal to yes. So whenever the condition is meeting the criteria, now we can see that case type is, this is the orchestration flow, other approval, right? And then it is displaying the case type here, mechanical, and the subject is a design issue with mechanical rotor. So that is the subject which is having here. Description is empty. So there is no description. Now, for example, if I say description here, not approved, not approved. If I say not approved, and as soon as I click on a no, I'm rejecting this approval. As soon as I click on a approval no, then immediately it will go into the rejected status. It will go into the rejected status. It will go into the rejected status. And also we have a couple of other objects related to the orchestration that will tell you that what are the different options are available. Like if you search here, orchestration runs. That means how many has ran, how many has ran and completed. So there is a one which is completed just now, and which is still in the progress. Another one is also still in the progress. Another one is also still in the progress. So you will be able to know that how many orchestration has run. How many orchestration has run. Like if you open this, any one of them. So if you open for the first one, completed one, now it is going to tell you that status completed and when it ran and who has the person is ran and what is the developer, orchestration developer. And if you go to the related list, it has a orchestration stage runs. The stage 1 is completed, other approval is completed. Step 2, the quality approval status completed, other approval completed. Orchestration logs. What are the logs that are generated for this? For this, it is completed. The 001 is completed. But where are others? Because of some network issue or something, it is still shows in progress. So right now, just now I have clicked on it, right? So for that, everything is in progress. That means if you see the stage run, the stage 1 is still in the progress. Quality approval is still in the progress. So far what has been done, I started the work item, right? Started the step and started the stage and started the particular specific run. And I have selected all the details in the step. In the first step, I have selected all the information and then it went on hang, and right now it is showing the details related to the, you do not have the information. So if you go to the cases, so it still went into the queue. So because of the user does not have some information, because we are assigning the users. We are assigning the users. So as we have assigned the user, that means the user has to be approved it. The user has to be approved it. So you will be receiving an email as an end user, you will be receiving an email. So your group has been assigned to the following action item, quality approval. To access this item, go to this record, complete this action, show in the complete action, show in the work guide. If the item is not available in the work guide, someone else in your group completed the action. So if you click on this record, it will take you to the Salesforce. In the Salesforce, the particular what are the work item is there. The case record, in the case record, what are the work guide is there. Here it is going to show the information. Right now it is not showing because everything is went down to the in progress. Let me take another record case. Let's take this maintenance. Now here type. Let's give it as a mechanical. And the required approval is yes, click on it, submit. Click on save. So this need to be debugged, but usually that is the place which is going to show the information. What are the screens that we have added? It will be showing the details. So that needs to be debugged and see why it is happening, what is the reason. It is active, but still it is not showing. now in the orchestra runs, there are few more records that are created. See, these are the 5, 6, 7, 8 records are created. 5, 6, 7, 8 records are created. These all are in progress. There is something is running at the back end. And also we have a other thing, orchestration work items. Orchestration work items. So what are the work items that are executing right now? All work items. So these are the work items which are happening. So the problem here is assigned to is the group. Assigned to is group. So the person has to be accepted. And for the which record, so this is the, if you open this context record, that is the case record. It will open the case record and it will give you why it is still in progress. Right now for the flow orchestration, we do not have a option to debug here. We do not have a option to debug. So that's the reason we have to open single one by one record and check what is happening here. So there is no other way to debug it. Maybe in future they are going to put some more details into the orchestration. But right now this is the way. Any questions? Okay, so homework, implement a record triggered orchestration flow. Try if you are able to do it. It's not a, because we need to at least understand how the orchestration flow is working. So select it as a account is created, industry equal to banking. And the step 1, add a radio button. Similarly, whatever I have done it, you have to create another screen flow where you need to add a radio button, whether it says approve yes or no. Whenever it is yes, then here in this case, I have created a yes or no. But in this case, your radio buttons are contact opportunity. Your radio buttons are contact opportunity. So when you select a radio option contact, it should take you to the contact screen. When you select an opportunity, it should take you to the opportunity screen. It will take you to the opportunity screen. So that means you should have a decision box. After the first stage, you should have a decision box. In the decision box, if your output of this radio button equal to contact, then display the screen which are related to the contact to create a contact record. If it is an opportunity you have selected, it should take you to the opportunity, the flow, where it should be allowing to create an opportunity record. And the next one, we are starting the validation rules. Validation rules are nothing but, as it says the word here, validation. We are validating the certain data. Whatever the user is entering the data, validating it. Validating the data that is entered by the user. So there are two types of the validation. One is the client-side validation. Second one is the server-side validation. Client-side validations are nothing but the one which are happening on the browser. Server-side validation is nothing but the one which are happening at the database server. So let's assume that I have a account object on the server and I have a client, the UI is there in the client side. The account UI screen is there at the client side. So whenever the user enter account name, rating, industry, annual revenue, and they will click on a save button. As soon as they click on a save button, the data, for example, account name goes to the account name, rating is going to the rating, industry goes to the industry, annual revenue goes to the annual revenue. As soon as click on the save button, it is inserting the data here. But before inserting the data in the server side, we are doing the validation. We are doing the validation. Could be possible through the Apex trigger or anything, right? Business logic which is written in the server side. In order to validate before inserting the data within the database, so it is validating the information and then inserting the data within the account object. Client side is nothing but as soon as the user enter the data here, click on a next button, or whenever the user click on a save button, before it is pushing to the server side, it has to cross verify only in the client side. Don't go to the server side until unless the UI feels that, okay, this data is entered perfectly fine. Then you can pass the data to the server side so that it will be easy. For example, rating is not, or account name or annual revenue is entered here, the text instead of the number, entered text and clicked on the save button. As soon as I clicked on the save button, it says that it's a spinner is coming, because that is nothing but spinner is nothing but the data is saving in the database. So the spinner is keep on looping. The reason for the spinner is looping here, as soon as we click on a save button, it went to the apex, it went to here server side. In the server side, we have a logic which is written to cross verify the annual revenue. So once the annual revenue is, it feels that, okay, the logic is incorrect, then it will send back saying that logic is incorrect. Then after the spinner, immediately I see the error message on this. So how much time it took? It took a lot of time. If it is a validation on the client side, it is easier for the user as well as the developer to know immediately. So the best way of the validation is to place a validation on the client side instead of a server side. If you do not have any option to place it in the client side, then only go for a server side. But the best way to implement the validation is client side. The best way to implement the validation is client side. So let's take the scenario. So Salesforce has given it many validation functions. Salesforce has given it many validation functions. So one of the validation function here is blank. Is blank and the field name. Boolean is blank field name. So when I say is blank field name, nothing but this function is used to check whether the specified field, the data, whether for this particular field, whether the data is available or not. If it is not available, then it will return either true or false. If the data is not there, then it will return the false. If the data is there, it will return the true. So example is blank name. That means in the name field, do we have a data or not? Is blank contact number. In the contact number, do we have a data or not? Is blank, do we have a data in the HR email ID or not? So like this, we can create per object, we can create 150 active validations. Inactive, you can keep it as, so inactive one doesn't care. Like if you have a 200, 300, 1,000 validation rules also, no problem, because those are inactive. Those are inactive. So inactive one, we need not to worry about it, but active one, it has to be 150. Active one, it has to be 150. So let's take the use case, create a validation rule on the account object to make sure the account number value should be required. So when we go to the account object, so in the account object, we have a field called account number. We have a field called account number. So whenever the user is creating a new account or updating an account, immediately I wanted to check this account number. If this account number is value is not there, data is not there, whenever the user is clicking on a save button, immediately it should throw an error. So let's go to this particular object, edit object. Once you land onto the object, that particular object, there is an option called validation rules. Option called validation rules. So click on a validation rule and you will see the screen and click on a new button here. As soon as you click on a new button, there are multiple options which you can see here. The first thing is a name of the validation. This is a name of the validation, whether this validation is active or not. And then we have a description. After that, the second section is error condition formula. Error condition formula. So the error condition formula is divided into two types. In error condition formula, the right side you will see all the functions. The right side you will see all the functions, and the left side you will see the box or where the developers are writing the condition. Where the developers are writing the condition. That means you need to select a function from this, choose the function, select it and click on the insert selected function. So as soon as you click on insert selected function, the function will come and sit it here. It will be bring it to this left side. Now, right now we are implementing the account number blank. So let's create here, validate account number. This is the active and we are validating it. The function which I'm checking here is blank. Is blank. So here is the is blank. Is blank expression. Check whether an expression is blank and return true or a false. Now click on insert selected function. As soon as you click on a insert selected function, it will have a is blank expression. Inside this expression, you need to insert a field that you wanted to check the value. For me, I wanted to check the account number. So once you added this data into this left side, click on a check syntax. Check syntax. So it is going to cross verify whatever the logic that we have written, whether it is correct or not. Now the error message, let's say that account number is mandatory. Account number is mandatory and then click on save. Click on save. Now I have created a validation for the account number. Now let's go ahead and create a new account. Click on new. Now I am entering the data here. Idea, new, and then I click on a save button. As soon as I click on a save button, what it is saying that industry, right? It is saying that please select the industry field. Okay, this is the industry field. This is coming from the trigger. Click on save. And then this is also coming from the trigger. And also we have a website from the trigger. Let me enter the data here also. Salesforce.com and then click on save. Now what is happening here? Account number is mandatory. But where is the account number? How can I identify? It does not give me anything, right? It is just showing at the page level. In case if you want at the field level, instead of a page level, if you want at the field level, select at the bottom error location. Select here field and specify which field that you wanted. Click on it, save. Click on save. So as soon as you click on it, save, just refresh this. Let me deactivate the trigger. So let's deactivate the trigger, click on a save. Now, And select, I'm entering the data here, idea showroom. And then click on save. Now it is saying highlighting the account number. Right, so that is the option in the validation rule. Where do you want to show the error message? Where do you want to show the error message? So maximum you can create 150 active validation rules. 150 active validation rules. So homework, create a validation on the opportunity object to make sure the tracking number value should be required. On the opportunity, we have a tracking number. So whenever the user is creating or updating, tracking number value should be there. So the navigation steps which we have seen. So for what did we learn? The conclusion. Sorry.
Record trigger orchestration.
Right. So integration flow with the code and record trigger orchestration, validation, navigation steps. So that's what we have seen. And these are the trial head links for the lightning flow as well as the validation rule. I have pasted those links there. So the first two are, the first one is a very basic about the orchestrator. The second one where you need to implement the flow of orchestration. And the third one is a validation.